Can you see the PD? They're all here already. Okay. Here.
Okay. Oh. I just did slideshow.
Slideshow. Okay. For some reason, when you do the slideshow, it's go into here.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Just one more testing.
Yeah, just see if you can see it. Everyone.
Yeah, we can see it. Just keep seeing it.
So how long have you worked at?
I've been at NIC for 4 years almost now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been in Australia for 10.
Yeah.
Scotland.
I went to shop.
Yeah. At the 55 Elizabeth Street. Yeah.
Yep, all good.
All good.
Yeah.
Okay. Start.
Okay. So some of this is new, but some of this is going to be what you've heard before.
Okay. No problem.
So my name is Jolly Hunter, and that title actually needs to be updated. I'm the Director of Marketing and Admissions at Newcastle International College at the University of Newcastle. Wi-Fi is all set up through this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Wi-Fi and a browser there.
we should be able to.
Is there video before?
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't work if it's in full mode, but it'll work for a minute. There we go. Yes. We'll just start off with a little intro video, hopefully.
It's the video, right? This is the video.
Yeah. Embedded, so it should have just.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's play. Can we find this video in the YouTube?
Yeah.
No.
I can just send you the link to YouTube.
So we can play here.
You could just go to YouTube.
This is a new computer. How come so slow?
Zoom. It is a very large file.
This is a bit slow. Not sure why. That's okay.
We can just skip it. If we go to the third one, and then I'll send you the link.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Great.
So that there, once again, this back is the business school in the central business district of Newcastle. So there are 2 campuses in Newcastle. There's one called Callahan, which is where NIC is based. And that's actually the second biggest campus in Australia. And then this was built about 18 months ago. And it's called New Space, and this is where students will go after they've completed the Diploma of Business and Commerce with us at the main campus. For year 2 and year 3, they'll be based at this CBD campus, Newcastle CBD.
Right. So the NIC located in the main campus.
Yes.
I've been these 2 campuses before.
Perfect.
At least the tram is very new, right?
The tram, yeah, so that opened, it was before the George Street ones.
Okay.
But yeah, it must have been about a year ago now. But as you can see, there's a tram stop right outside, so quite convenient for students, or even if they're coming from the Central Coast or back from a trip to Sydney, you can just get off the train and straight onto the tram. It also
Okay.
goes all the way down to Newcastle Beach.
Right.
And then that is an overview of the city itself. So still fairly large, obviously significantly smaller than Sydney, but we're the second biggest city in New South Wales.
Yeah.
With a population which is interestingly comparable or larger to some European and American cities that have a lot of universities. So Edinburgh, for example, has less people, but 6 universities. Newcastle just has the one, which is for our students because it's easier for them to find work, part-time work. But yeah, the biggest regional economy in the country basically is Newcastle and the Lower Hunter. So much bigger even than the whole of Tasmania, the whole of ACT, or the whole of Northern Territory. So rankings wise, we're just outside the group of 8, so we're 10th on the QS 2020 in Australia. We are 47th in the world for nursing, our highest ranked degree. We're the only Navitas college in Australasia with a pathway for medicine. So it's a dedicated foundation program for medicine, which is separate to the health science foundation that we have. And so students that want to become doctors that do not have perfect marks for direct entry, they have to come to NIC for the foundation. So I'll talk about that later. And students that graduate from that campus in front of you and also from the main campus, they are eligible now for 3 years of post-study work rights. But if they graduate from our Central Coast campus, halfway between Sydney and Newcastle, they actually now are eligible for 4 years. So we'll talk about what degrees that campus has in a little while.
A bit slow.
Okay. So that red arrow on the right, that is the campus we've just had a look at. And then on the left, the university owned that piece of land, and that's changed since this photo was taken. And there are 7 more university buildings under construction now, including student accommodation. So there'll be 450 beds there. First time they've got accommodation in the CBD. Creative Industries building is going in there. Education will be moving in there. So the university are wanting the CBD to be business law, creative arts, education, accommodation, and then STEM will be focused on in the main campus. So there's a lot of changes. And as you can see, those new buildings are going to be 1 block from the harbour. Newcastle was selected as one of National Geographic's smart cities, global smart cities. So that's actually a driverless bus. That guy in there is just a passenger. That goes around the city for free. Students can just jump on and trust that it will take them where they want to go.
It's for free.
It's for free.
Very good. Okay.
There's also free Wi-Fi throughout the CBD, which is good for Australia. And there's parking sensors that you'd find in a Westfield style, actually in the outdoors in the city itself. So little things like that are why Newcastle was awarded that. And then that's a map of where the post-study work rights are that I mentioned earlier. So the 3-year post-study work rights are the Newcastle campuses, and 4 years at the Central Coast. Students have 2 options. They can fly in often direct to Sydney Airport, and we'll pick them up for free. Or they can also fly into Newcastle Airport, usually via Brisbane. So it's just a 1-hour flight flying to Brisbane, then flying to Newcastle. You can also fly into Melbourne or Gold Coast or Canberra, but mostly students would fly into Brisbane. And again, pick them up for free. If there's only one student or two students, usually it's a private car. If there's a whole lot of other bookings at the same time for Sydney, it will be with that company there, BATS, Ryan Transports.
Right. Okay. So it's free of charge, and you.
Yes. So as soon as the student gets the visa granted, just send us the flight number and the drop-off address, and everything will be taken care of. They'll be met with the board.
Okay.
Help with their luggage. And that just shows the links for the Newcastle auction. Obviously, sometimes that can be quicker because of the traffic getting from Sydney Airport to Newcastle. It can be up to 3 hours. So flying into Newcastle is about 20 minutes usually to the university. And it's co-owned by the Air Force. So the Air Force East Coast headquarters are next to Newcastle Airport. So all the fighter jets. And they're actually, or the government are helping to expand the runways, and now has an international terminal. There's one link to New Zealand at the moment, which doesn't help our students really. But next year, I had a meeting with the airport, and they are trying to keep it a bit quiet, but apparently there will be 2 links to Asia next year.
Oh, okay.
So they'll do
Direct flight to.
Yeah. So it'll be a proper international airport for the city.
So at this moment, it's not international airport yet.
Just Auckland.
Oh, just Auckland.
Yeah. And then trains are very cheap, subsidized. So you can actually get on a Sunday a return ticket from Newcastle to Sydney for $2.50 Australian.
On Sunday. Wow.
So students get really the best of both worlds. They can live in Newcastle where accommodation is often half the price. And then, like I did this morning, you can get a train and then come back in the same day or stay over if they've got something on. And even at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's less than $9. So it's still accessible to students. They can really experience 2 different cities while they're studying. Climate, very similar to here. We have welcome rain at the moment in Sydney and Newcastle, but normally it's pretty nice. And the Property Council of Australia actually ranked Newcastle as the best climate in Australia. But apart from rankings, really affordability is our main selling point. So especially for housing and transportation, in comparison to the 3 main cities, and even in comparison to places like Canberra and Adelaide, we are cheaper. So for accommodation, we work with this company, Reece Realty.
Okay.
This is for private
Yes.
options. They've got rooms starting from $100 Australian a week, and that's their own room, the students' own rooms. None of either the on-campus or the off-campus accommodation in Newcastle has twin rooms or triple rooms. I've never met one student that have that. It's always their own room. Starts from 100 and goes up to something like 250 for, they've got brand new stuff. Some of it is across the road from the campus, so even though it's out of the boundary, it's still in some cases closer than the on-campus accommodation. So there's lots of options, lots of affordable options.
Very affordable.
And that includes utilities.
It's very affordable.
Including internet.
And
On campus, those buildings were built in 2015, so pretty modern. There's lots of different ways that students can package it with food, or there's no alcohol zones within that, swimming pool, buildings that have built-in swimming pools or not, older style, newer style. So it starts from $191 a week, a bit more, and goes up to about $330 for a student.
okay. Yeah. On campus.
On campus. Yeah. And there's a shuttle bus that takes students around. They can take them from the accommodation to their classes, and even for students that are not on campus, you can still use the shuttle bus to get around because it's such a big campus. But in general, off campus is going to save students a fair amount in comparison to on campus. And really, if you think about pathway plus their degree, 4 years, medicine is 5 years. In comparison to here, really that can save a student 30 to 40,000 over that lifetime of study.
Save a lot.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So our best ranking that the university are most proud of is 8th in the world for automation control engineering. So that's higher than Harvard, Stanford, and Cambridge. And it's part of the mechatronics and mechanical and medical engineering degrees. 10th in Australia, 47th for nursing, and we talked about the medicine pathway, but I'll get to that in a minute. Still got rather a lot of students, 37,000, that includes 3,000 in Singapore that we don't normally package with, but from 115 different countries. The breakdown, though, for international versus Australian, for undergraduate, it's 14% international, so they're getting a pretty unique Australian experience by choosing to study in Newcastle. Architecture and education are 51, so just outside the top 50, so we have to stay top 100. Very highly regarded, but we have 15 different degrees that are within the top 200.
Top 8.
Yeah, and also #1 for industry collaboration. So because they're the only university in Newcastle, it's very easy for the university to get work internships for students. So we actually now guarantee work internships or work placements for every international student that we want to. So students will meet with someone called a student placement officer. They'll go through their timetable, say, okay, on a Thursday at 2, you can do 2 hours here, 2 hours there. So they're actually graduating with work experience. So the campuses, that is the main campus. It is the second biggest campus in Australia after Murdoch in Perth, almost 2 kilometers wide. And as you can see, where that blue,
Huge.
yeah, where that blue boundary is, it's very green in comparison to the development around it. So even though they're in the second biggest city of the state, it's a very good place to study because it's a peaceful learning environment. Has anyone actually been campus?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be familiar with
Yeah.
greenery. Depending when you came, you might have been familiar with the mosquitoes too.
Oh, mosquito, yeah. A lot of mosquito at that time, yes, I remember. When was it? I think like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After rain, there's always you lose a bit of blood, but you get a good degree out of it. So that's another image there. The girl on the laptop on the right, she actually was an NIC student and then graduated with Bachelor of Commerce and now works for the university. She's from Vietnam originally. That's another image of New Space, the business school. That's the Central Coast campus. So we can package there too limited degrees such as food science and human nutrition, podiatry, oral health therapy. There's some nursing places and some business places. But if they're choosing to study there, the main benefit is they can stay for 4 years. That was just a new thing that came in November last year. That is an artist's impression of the Honeysuckle campus, which is across the road from here. So that's on Hunter Street, across the road, and there is the new one. So that's coming at the end of this year. And that will be the first building that's going to be finished. It's the Creative Industries building.
Why they call it honeysuckle?
That's just the name of the suburb.
Oh, I see.
So just as you come out of, it's part of the Central Business District, but it's just like there's lots of restaurants and bars
Ah,
and
okay.
cafes there on Newcastle. And then at the moment where this is going to go is an old 60s building that's currently under demolition. And they're building a new $200 flagship STEM building, extra M for medicine. So that's going to be the largest investment in the university's history. They're taking STEM very seriously. That's where they want to be renowned for, even more than they are already. So this will be 2023
Wow.
when it's open. So we need to get you back to Callahan in 2023.
Wow. Okay. Must be amazing.
Very high graduate employment rates from within 4 months of graduation, especially from the STEM. In business is 84%. So our programs, very similar to most Navitas colleges that you send students to. Foundation leads to pretty much everything, apart from mining, engineering, and midwifery nursing. We can package to over 100 different degrees. If we don't have the diploma, there's an average mark requirement they have to get over their 8 subjects. So nursing, for example, is a 70 average. So they might have some at 80, some at 60, as long as the average is 70. Then they go into year 1. If we have a diploma, it's a 50% pass requirement into the diploma and then into second year of the degree. If they're from a low-risk market or onshore, we can also do extended foundation, which is exactly the same, except it is a lower English requirement. So a 5.0, no band under 4.5, they get 2 extra classes on academic communication skills. But the academic requirements are the same. So medicine, we are the only Navitas college that has this, and it's a little bit different. So it starts in April every year. It has its own intake with a class that are just full of students wanting to become doctors. They need to do 3 things. They need to get an average mark of 90% over their 8 subjects. Usually there's only probably 1 student per year that doesn't get that, because we have quite high entry requirement. It's not the same entry requirement. There are students, it's not unusual for them to get 99%. So if they're on track for that, which they almost certainly will be, they'll be invited for a face-to-face interview with the Faculty of Health and Medicine, asking questions around patient care. They're trying to determine which of the students that are in that cohort would make the best doctors. And then there's also a multiple choice personality assessment, basically. And then based on that, the faculty decide, not NIC, who gets through to the Doctor of Medicine degree. So to give you an idea, in 2018, we had 18 students in the class and 14 got through. And then last year, we had 16 and then 1 dropped out, so 15 and then 11 got through. So both years, 75% success rate.
Okay. So what happened with those students that didn't get through?
So the students that are not successful, and usually that's not because they haven't got 90, it's because they've said something that someone didn't like in the interview, they've failed the interview.
Right.
They've got 3 options. So they can select anything that has a place left that's quoted, or there are unlimited places in things like biomedical science, which is actually the most common second preference, because after 3 years they can apply for medicine. Or, I mean, you can choose anything, including business, engineering. We also have medical engineering, so sometimes they choose that. Or some students actually come back and try again. Or the third option, try to get in somewhere else. So they get released. And students, so last year, one guy got something like 92, but didn't pass the interview. He is now going somewhere in Canada.
Okay.
So obviously we can't guarantee
Yeah.
the decisions of a random university in North America, but it can happen. It does happen. So there are all is not lost. Basically, the student doesn't get in; they still have other options. Diploma of Business and Commerce leads to second year of either business or commerce. And as I said earlier, it goes into that different building. There's a free bus that takes students from the Callahan campus to the campus building every 30 minutes, so it doesn't cost them anything. There's quite a lot of majors, and you can see in the brochure that you can choose from for business, and there's 3 majors in commerce. Media and comms, that leads to second year of communication, but also we're going to be adding in visual communication design, so graphic design, Bachelor of Arts, apart from the language majors, music, and creative industries. So opening that pathway up a little bit. And then another exclusive that we have is Diploma of Medical Engineering, leading to second year of the engineering degree. So that's things like artificial limb design, artificial organ design, robotics. So for students that are interested in engineering but have also an interest in the healthcare sector, this is a no-brainer, and it's going to be where all the jobs are in the future. It was designed by both the health and medicine faculty and the engineering faculty, but it's an engineering degree that they get. IT, they can specialize in interactive media, business technology, or systems development, and it's all at the Callahan campus. It's a 3-year degree. So they can actually do it in 2 years and 8 months, because the diploma can be done in 8 months or 2. And then engineering, I should say Newcastle is a group of 8 affiliate for engineering. So it's a group of 8, Wollongong and Newcastle. They can specialize in civil, mechanical, mechatronics, surveying, computer systems, and electrical. And the university have also now just agreed to open it up to renewable energy. Engineering, because that's actually, since that was added last year, it's become the most popular engineering degree.
Right.
Because probably it's got 100% employment rate, especially when they finish in 4 years' time. So we were able to do that because the first year is very, very similar to the electrical one. 6 of the 8 subjects are the same. So that's something that we'll be able to do. It's been very popular for foundation to first year. So now that we have diploma to second year, I think most markets that we represent would have an interest in renewable. And then that should say October, but this is approved, and we're going to be trialing it first at the Sydney campus. So that is a first. So NIC will have a presence at UON Sydney on Elizabeth Street, 55 Elizabeth Street. And this will open up to the MBA Global, but we are also going to be doing IT, engineering, and cyber security. We can also package with Navitas English for this on the same street. So a few different options. And then this time next year, we'll be launching a Diploma of Public and Community Health. There might be a few people wanting to do that since the recent outbreak. And that's on the Central Coast campus. So again, they'll get the 4 years of post-study work. That's coming next year. You can just about see that basically our diploma is up to $6,000 cheaper than the first year degree, or first year of the degree. It's the same teachers, it's the same exams, it's the same projects. It's just in another building.
Yeah.
So,
is that right?
so and the curriculum is given to us by the university. So it's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a better option for the student then.
The only reason that a student would want to pay the extra money is if some markets, Malaysia especially, don't like the word diploma.
Okay.
So the parents want to go into year one as quickly as possible. Or they might have a friend that's going into direct entry and they want to do that from foundation. But most people would package foundation diploma, not foundation.
Yeah. Okay.
But they can do what they want. And then I must have sent you an Indian version of this because I was in India recently. But the academic requirements you can see in the brochure if you have it are also on our website. But year 11 leads to foundation, year 12 leads to diploma, and then medicine you can get in with IB with 28 points or more. A levels at B average, you can actually get into medicine with O levels at A average, so actually leaving after only 11 years of schooling for medicine. Or there's various different levels from whatever curriculum from whatever country. So just have a look at our website for the different entry requirements. And then English requirements, this is just IELTS. We also take TOEFL, Pearson, there's an Navitas version test as well. If students are in Sydney, they can actually go to Navitas English and do a test there.
Placement test
For free.
for free. Yeah. Okay.
So there's a few options, but basically it's around this 5.5 for foundation unless it's health, 6. Extended lowers it by half a band. Medicine's just the same as the other one, 6. Diploma, again, 6. And then there's the provisional entry for diploma, which is like the extended foundation. It's the same thing, but with 2 extra classes on academic communication skills. So it lowers it to 5.5.
Can the student do a placement test in overseas?
Yes.
Yes, right. Yes.
We do the version test. We just
Right.
have to give them a PIN code. And
Right. Okay. Yeah. Can do it
in fact, as we speak,
Yeah.
someone's doing one in Japan that I
Okay.
organized recently. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when the student arrive here, the student will do another test.
no,
No.
it's just
That's all.
yeah. And actually, it's even easier for us because I can tell you that next month the university is going to be risk assessment level 1.
Okay. Right.
So they won't even have to,
Mhm.
as long as we've seen it, the Department of Home Affairs won't look at it.
Okay. Do you need a minimum IELTS score in order to sit for the test? No need.
No, we don't need anything. If they want to set the test, they just go do the test.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We take 16 and 17-year-old students as well. And normally they are placed by the university. They have their own team. There's also the Australian Homestay Network. They have accommodation in Newcastle too, so it's a bit more expensive, but sometimes this does fill up. So if it does fill up, they can also use the AHN guide. Connect 88 is the initiative for the work internships and work placements. So if you want to read up about it, there's a page on the university's website called Connect 88. And then iLead program that's available to our students, NIC or otherwise, on a voluntary basis, so that they're graduating with some leadership skills, free workshops, free online stuff. So the university is trying to offer as much as possible for our students to be as employable as possible. They've got access to our student support, but also the universities. There is no discrimination in terms of what they can access with their student card. They get a University of Newcastle student card. There's nothing they can do with that. They won't be turned away from anything. They get reduced gymnasium membership, access to healthcare. There's GP on site, even mental health counselling, religious services, legal advice, and the law. So there's no difference. That's probably going to crash the computer. So again, I'll send you I'll link to that on Monday.
Okay.
And then this has got a lot of images on it, so it's probably why it's
Yeah, it takes some time.
loading. Bonding.
A lot of images in there. Yeah.
Here we go. So just to highlight that we're also as multicultural as our students. So our new college director, Hong Kong born, but German. Danny's the academic director, he's from Singapore. I'm originally from Scotland. Karina's Italian background, but from Perth. She used to work for Navitas English in Perth. Maureen, the main admissions person, she's French. Kai, who looks after Greater China and North Asia, is Chinese. Tanya, Newcastle born and bred. Soon is originally from Malaysia. We've got Fawn, who is originally from Thailand. Nicole, the only other person from Newcastle. And then Louise is based in Shanghai, and Changi's based in New Delhi. So pretty multicultural, even though that we're in what is sometimes I think confusing a regional city. Plenty of variety.
So Chandi look after South Asia market?
No, just India and Sri Lanka.
Just India and Sri Lanka. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone look after Nepal?
Me.
You will look after. Okay, sure. Yeah, because we currently have I think pending application for Nepal.
We got a pending application for us.
Because at this moment our territory is not include Nepal yet.
Oh,
Yet, but we do have application from our Nepal office
for NIC.
for NICS.
Okay.
So I think Abdul.
Abdul has none.
Abdul and India. I think Anu best in Nepal.
And I knew Abdul's in Dhaka.
Abdul in Dhaka, yeah.
but
Anu
Anu is
in
in-
Nepal. Yes. I
Uh,
think they work.
he hasn't messaged me about that one, but I'll talk to him. Who's your account manager for Navitan?
Commander is Patricia.
Tisha.
We have spoke to her many times and then also spoke to Abu, but I'm not sure.
I'll look into it for you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
And then that's on the other side of the campus, so there's lots of breakout zones, as you can see. Oh, scholarships in that in the bag that I don't know where I left it. There's a you don't need to grab it right now. There's a $3,000 scholarship for anyone still to come in the February intake. Because of the virus, actually the intake has been, you can have a late arrival up to the 16th of March. So that would cover that. But it also covers the medicine intake in April. So 3,000. The difference for your offshore, so this is just onshore for 3,000. There is an offshore one. It's $500 less. It's 2.5. There's a High Achievers International for the faculty of, that's Phoebe at the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment. If they get 90% in their foundation and or their diploma, they get $5,000 per year. So there's one student this year that managed to do that. It's difficult to achieve, but can be done. And then over 80 different clubs and societies that students can join from lots of different countries from around the world. An international engagement team that brings domestic and international students together. There's a union on site that's got very cheap meals and lots of international events that they put on for students. Those are all our social media channels if you can access them depending where you are. And does anyone have anything they want me to clarify?
Guys, if you have questions, maybe you can unmute your microphone or turn it on, so you can speak.
You can speak up easy.
So when the new campus is ready, do you think NIC will move to one of the fancy campuses?
We're talking about it, yeah. So normally what Navitas do, or they would they would have a long lease for 2 floors of a building.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, possibly we would move the
Right.
college into the honeysuckle campus.
Okay,
but
understand. Yeah.
It's very early days. The contract actually is up. So that scholarship, you'll see it's called the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
That's the 10-year, not of having students, but of signing the contract with the university. So it's being negotiated as we speak, basically.
Okay, sure.
So that's
Yeah.
probably one of the things they're talking about.
Yeah.
But
What do you think it will be?
it would be a longer drive from my house.
Or Kalanga is closer to you.
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, probably would be a little bit more interesting for students.
I
guess
think so,
it's
yeah.
1 block from the ocean.
Yes.
More shops.
For sure. Yeah, more modern.
Yeah. I mean, they can still get back and forth alone anyway, but I don't know. I'm kind of torn because we're already on the main campus, but as things, I think if we don't do it now,
Yeah.
we'll probably regret not doing it. So
Right.
I actually spoke to Rod Jones,
Ah.
who was visiting Newcastle, and he asked me that same question. And so we'll see. I don't, if he asked me that, someone must have asked him that. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Right, yeah. Because I think most of the pathway provided they will be in the city.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it might be that we maintain a presence in both. Like, we might have some classes in
Could
the
be.
city and some in the other,
Yeah.
depending on what the students are studying.
Yeah.
Because someone's going to have to get a bus at the end of the day to go back anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they're finished, like if they move into the city and they're going to the NIC, but then they're doing engineering, they'll have to go to the
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And some engineering classes in the diploma are not at NIC, they're at with the uni.
Yep.
So they would have to go back.
Right.
So
Yes.
lots of options.
How many students now roughly at NIC each?
300.
300
Yeah.
at the moment. Okay.
So
Yeah.
one of the smaller, we're bigger than Canberra and Canterbury, but
Right.
one of the smaller ones
Okay.
at the moment. But
Do you know the biggest? Who are the biggest?
Deakin,
Deakin. Right.
Deakin, Griffith, Liverpool.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay.
But I mean, in comparison to last year, we're about 40 up. So
Okay.
I think the regional points
Yeah.
are making a difference, and some
Yes.
of the new programs that we have are making a
Okay.
difference. So,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
and they're traveling to a lot more places now, so people haven't even had us visit them
Okay.
up until
Right.
the last 6 months. Basically.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, definitely growing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Like the top 3 countries.
It's China, Pakistan, Hong Kong, Kenya, Vietnam, Korea.
That's all right. Okay. Right.
So we actually get quite a lot from Africa, percentage-wise, in comparison to pretty much any
Right.
other Netherlands country. We get a lot from
Okay.
Kenya,
Yeah.
Uganda, Zimbabwe,
Oh, is that right? Okay.
and because of the virus, depending what happens, it looks
Yeah.
like Pakistan's become our number 1
Oh, there are a lot of people.
nationality.
A lot of people looking at the Pakistan market.
Mm.
It seems like a growing market there.
We've got about 26 Pakistani students coming.
Oh, pretty good. Yeah.
Brand new one.
Yeah.
Right. How about Cambodia and Philippines?
Cambodia, we've got 4 new students coming from Cambodia.
Yeah.
Philippines, just 1, I think.
Okay.
Vietnam, 12.
Yeah.
Myanmar, we get usually 4 each into.
Mm.
And we've never been there. I'm going later this month. Malaysia, about 8.
Right.
And then usually we get some in medicine as well from Malaysia.
Malaysia.
We sent 2
You sent 2
students.
students.
Uh,
Yes, that's right. I saw that. I noticed.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I think with Cambodia, I think there will be a lot of room to work with because the education system.
Yeah.
Like where they.
I saw you had a Cambodian
Yes,
office,
we did.
but for some reason it wasn't on the
No,
contract.
yeah, Cambodia, yeah. JR have requested.
So Nepal and Cambodia.
Yes.
Yeah, Cambodia is definitely. I mean, every time I go there, it looks different because there's just so much going on in terms of development.
Yeah, very massive. Yeah.
And it's like it's a good fit, really. You know.
Yeah.
smaller class sizes, cheaper accommodation.
Yeah. I think like the year 12 is not equivalent, like cannot go to university directly.
Yes.
So the way is the diploma implementation. I think
Yeah.
it's good. Which to go to university.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'd be good if you could get that added because
Sure.
I expect Cambodia will catch up with Vietnam
Yes.
pretty quickly.
Yeah, yes, true.
Okay.
I don't think that
Any question, guys? Who we have here? I think from Cambodia, Mike. In. I think yeah. Okay. But you have like any social chat that we can put you in a group for NIC? Like,
Yeah.
anything? Which one you prefer? You prefer email or
You can email.
Email.
You can
which one? Which you
WhatsApp.
prefer? WhatsApp,
Yeah,
right?
WeChat.
So is your numbers there is the WhatsApp numbers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, on this signature and on the
Email.
business card.
Okay, sure.
so we can create a group chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I can put in
Yeah.
the permissions guys as well.
Yeah, that would be good.
Too.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, thanks very much,
Okay,
everyone,
All
for
right,
listening.
guys. Thank you.